What's going on, guys? JPS back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to tariffs, taxes, and taste. Why US products struggle in Europe. Now, the taste aspect of this is something that I have learned about in some of my previous reaction videos, such as when Walmart failed in Germany because they struggled to really appeal to the European market and what European customers want. A lot of times when American companies try and bring their business to Europe or other countries outside the United States, they just do things the same way they did in the United States, failing to realize that Europeans aren't Americans. They have a completely different way of life and think differently. What works in the US is probably not going to work in Europe, at least identically. Another example of this is I'm pretty sure Domino's tried to set up business in Italy. Why are you bringing shitty pizza to Italy, of all places? Like, that is probably one of the dumbest things I've heard of. But today we're gonna get into the tariff and taxes and taste. This is a big video, a big part of the global economy, and I'm excited to get into this one, guys. So I hope you all ready. Here we go.
Tariffs are on. Wait a minute. Tariffs are off. Or tariffs are on again. Or we're going to put a pause on tariffs so we can communicate. Or communications aren't going well. We're going to put the highest tariffs ever on. It goes back and forth. Are you pretty exhausted about all this tariff talk? Yeah, I am too, for sure. And I tell you, I wonder if there's sometimes I wonder, is there really any logic or thought to this, or is it just like whatever we feel like from day to day? But anyway, so I'm Lee, Betty's behind the camera, and we are here on an absolutely beautiful day in Seattle, Washington. We're going to show you some images of the city. We've got the beautiful Olympic Mountains behind me and the Puget Sound, so it's absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, something that, as an American from the United States who lives in Germany, and we hear about this tariff talk, some things that I've been thinking about recently are, what's the purpose of it? So it seems to be like there's a belief, amongst our president and a lot of people who live in the United States, they seem to think that Germans or Europeans in general don't buy products from the United States. And I don't know where that thought comes from, because where the way I see it, I mean, Europeans in general, Germans buy a lot of products from the United States, especially technological products and the service industry. I mean, you look, a lot of people have iPhones, a lot of people have Apple products, a lot of people wear American clothing. You see Levi's all over the place. Food and drink, American fast food is everywhere. So they do use a lot of American products, but it seems to be time and time again, the big concern is, why don't Europeans drive American-made cars? Why don't they drive cars that come from the United States? And I guess the blame is on tariffs. So we're going to jack up the tariffs on European products because, people in the U.S. love to drive foreign cars. We drive a lot of cars from Japan. We love cars from Germany. So why don't Europeans feel the same about our cars?
Because our cars are too big, I think. I think also a big emphasis within the United States is like, people want, or at least our current administration wants, products to be American made. I think they want to stop relying on other countries, even though we use everything from China. Everything is made in China. They want to stop relying on other countries internationally to help us with producing products. So that might be why they're jacking tariffs up. But I agree with this. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a logic behind it. When you look at the news, tariff. Like, what's going on, guys?
Our cars. And anyone who asks that question, I have to wonder, have you ever been to Europe? Have you ever been to Germany. And if you have you ever driven over there?
Our cars
And
are
if
too
you
big.
have, then you'd probably realize why they don't drive a lot of U.S. made cars, because they're just not practical for the roads for a few reasons. Number one, for the most part, U.S. cars are too big. A lot of European roads are designed around medieval cities, and I mean, sure, the highways are plenty big, but the small roads in the towns and villages just aren't big enough to accommodate huge Suburbans or Tahoes or whatever the case may be. So the vehicles just are not practical in Europe. And also, and parking can also be very tight. I mean, if you've got a big, American truck, you're going to have a hard time finding parking in many European cities, towns, and villages. It's just not.
On the topic of parking, guys, when you're parallel parking on the street, I've heard that it's like okay to hit the car in front of you. I think I saw a video in France where like this car was getting out of the tightest spot. Like the driver had to rearrange the wheel, back up a little bit, pull forward, back. You know what I mean? Like probably 20 times. And it was just moving back like a little inch. And during that, he tapped the car behind and in front a little bit. So is it okay to kind of bump a little bit when you're parking? Because I've seen some tight parking in Europe. Like a lot of American drivers would struggle trying to park, not even in an American car, in a car that is fit for driving in whatever area in Europe they're in. Our drivers are just not as skilled. I think it's way easier to get a license over here.
European cities, towns, and villages. It's not going to be easy. And then you've got the fuel cost. Fuel is a lot more expensive in Europe than it is in the United States. And I hear a lot of Americans complain about the price of gas, but it's nothing in the United States compared to what it is in Europe. So, and American cars just tend to use a lot of fuel compared to American and Asian cars. Now, Europeans will buy foreign cars because if you look at the car market in the European Union, about 25% of the new cars sold in Europe right now are Asian brands. They either come from Japan or South Korea for the most part. And also they are buying more Chinese cars now too. And, and if you look even more closely at that, so about 25% are brands from Asia, but and then about 13% of the cars sold in Europe are actually produced in Asia and shipped to Europe. So they will buy foreign cars. But if you look at the Asian cars, they identify the market in Europe and they adapt their product to the market.
Yes.
I think Japanese cars are great at that, and even the South Korean cars, because you'll see Japanese cars in the United States. You'll see Toyotas in the United States that you'll never see in Europe because they develop big cars for the American market because they know people in the U.S. want big cars. So Toyota makes big cars. They make, the Toyota Tundra pickup trucks. They make Land Cruisers and things like that for the American market.
And on this topic, even the sedans that Toyota produces for the American market, like the Camry and Corolla, are still so big compared to some of the Toyotas that I see in Europe. Like I can't even give you guys the name of the models that I've seen. I was just walking down the street. I'm like, is that a Toyota? What is that? You know what I mean? So shout out to Japan. I actually have a Toyota Corolla. I think that Japan makes potentially the best cars in the world. But, not adapting to the European market is something that they did a great job with. And that's, again, the United States fails to do that. We're missing out so much. If we could adapt our cars and cater to international markets, but we're not exactly known for reliability with some of our car brands such as Ford, Chevy, GM. You want to get a Honda or a Toyota if you're in the United States. That's what's going to give you the reliability.
They don't sell in Europe because Europeans don't want them. So if Asian, car manufacturers can do that, why can't American cars? And when we talk about the practicality of autos, from my experience from living in Germany, Germans are very practical people, right? They want to spend their money on something that they need and they're going to get use out of. So for the few people in Germany that, say, for example, need a pickup truck, more often than not, it's going to be an American brand. You'll see quite a few Ford F-150s, you see some Ford Rangers, and you see some Ram pickup trucks. You don't see very many Chevrolets. I'm not sure why that is.
They suck.
But whenever you see a pickup truck, more often than not, it is an American brand, even though Volkswagen and Mercedes actually make pickup trucks. But I would say you see more American brand trucks in Europe than you do German brands. And so they will buy American products if it's something they need, but they're just not going to buy big Yukons or Suburbans because they just don't need them. They're not practical. They use too much gas and they don't fit on their roads. And the other product, switching gears a little bit, that I hear a lot of talk about is, the President Trump wants Europeans and he wants the EU to buy more food from the United States. And I would say a big reason why a lot of food from the United States isn't sold in Europe is because it breaks EU laws. The European Union has very strict laws on food safety, the ingredients in foods, and they just simply don't think a lot of American products are safe, to be honest. I know there are products, I think Mountain Dew, for instance, isn't sold in Germany, and some other things, a lot of colorings we use. So again, if we want to sell our food products or more of our food products in the European Union, in my opinion, we need to adapt our product to meet the market instead of expecting the market to adapt to the product.
That is a great point. That's literally like the whole point of all of this, guys. I think some of you may remember I reacted to a video of why U.S. meat is banned in the EU. And it's just ridiculous. Like, our meat, the stuff we do to our animals is disgusting, to put it quite frankly. And all those products you just mentioned, it's just a bunch of junk. So I don't think it's even possible for these companies to make an EU alternative, because then Americans would be wondering what are we eating then if these guys are getting the healthy stuff healthy. But yeah, it's just like, if you expect something to meet, that's why I love when US companies fail in Europe and other places in the world. It does make me happy, because it's just that cockiness of thinking that everyone's going to want your stuff and your product just sucks. So it's like, it feels like a little bit of payback or karma that I like seeing. I don't like seeing people fail or companies fail, but when it's a US company, after I see all the BS that they put our citizens through, I definitely get a little bit of happiness from that. I'm gonna be honest, guys.
So just my thoughts, who knows what's going to happen in this world. These talks of tariffs, they're on again, they're off again. They're going to be 50%, they're going to be 100%, they're going to be 15%. I don't know. So just curious, what are your thoughts? If you live in Europe, do you own any American-made products? And now that I think about it, I hear a lot of people talking about, they are much less likely, a lot of Europeans are much less likely to purchase products made by a company from the United States than they were 6 months ago. So I think our business in Europe is going to go down because of that, regardless of tariffs, just because the consumers are honestly a little angry. But so if you live in Europe, what are your thoughts?
That's a whole different aspect of it. The political side is like, we're not really behaving ourselves. Our leader is acting like a complete clown. So Europeans are not too fond of Americans right now. So that's also hurting business. So It's all just a mess. It's a storm of nastiness.
Are you more or less likely to purchase a product from the United States
Less
now?
likely,
What do you feel
obviously.
about tariffs? What do you think about food from the United States? Are you less likely to eat it because you have safety concerns?
Yeah.
And cars from the U.S. Would you purchase a U.S. car if the prices were lower, even though maybe it uses more fuel? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
We know the answer to all of that, guys. You guys aren't buying U.S. cars. You're not buying U.S. food. And you're less likely to purchase U.S. products because of our recent political happenings, which are not very fun. So thank you guys so much for watching. I honestly thought that this video was going to be more in depth on tariff talk, but it was still a solid one and it got me thinking. So you never know really what a video is going to be like until you watch it. Like that's how it is. So I enjoyed it nonetheless. Original video will be linked down below. Shout out to this guy right here. Hit the like button, hit subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.